So hello everyone and welcome to Blended Learning in Oman, the role that quality online delivery can play in closing the skills gap with employers. This is a Times Higher Education Roundtable in partnership with Coursera. My name is Alistair Lawrence. I'm the Special Projects Editor at THE, and I'd like to thank you all for joining today's discussion. Just to add that an on-demand version of this roundtable and a summary article of its key findings will be published on the Times Higher Education website after the event, should you wish to revisit this content or share it with any of your colleagues. I'd like to begin by noting that as blended learning becomes both increasingly popular and also necessary to deliver higher education, institutes in Oman have an opportunity to utilize blended learning to increase graduate employability. Quality skills education is a key part of achieving this, but it does present cultural and technological barriers that institutions must overcome. So the idea of today's discussion is to bring together a group of university leaders and also leaders from industry who can talk to us about some of these challenges and how they're overcoming barriers and how they're addressing things with their short, medium and long-term planning. So if we don't mind, because we're quite a small group today, if we could each introduce ourselves. Dr. Amin, we start with you, please.
Hello, thank you very much for inviting me. The last event, I think, was very fruitful, so I'm very happy to be back. Yeah, I'm Armin Eberlein. I am the Deputy Director for Academic Affairs here at the German University of Technology in Oman. And I've been here for 5 years. So I've seen the old mode and the other extreme of 100% online, and now we are gradually moving back to on campus.
Okay, great, thank you very much. And Dr. Fahad? Oh, you're on mute, I'm afraid.
Yes, my name is Fahad Jdeed. I am the Vice Chancellor of Al-Sharqiyya University in Oman. I joined Al-Sharqiyya in 2016. Prior to that, I also served with another Omani university called Dhofar University. We moved to online teaching in March, like everyone else, and we are back to in-person teaching now. The experience has been good so far.
Okay, excellent. Thank you very much. And Dr. Hussein?
Yes, thank you very much. Welcome for all. I am Dr. Hussein, Dean of the College of Engineering and Architecture at the University of Nazwa, Oman. Really for the on-campus teaching, Alhamdulillah, we'll turn back starting from this semester, which is fall semester, 21, 22. Previously, due to the pandemic, all the courses, nearly all the courses, conducting online. Of course, with online, we faced many problems, especially regarding the assessment. But now, when we come back or return back to the on-campus, the things will become better in the assessment, even in the teaching. When anybody or the faculty member be in contact with the student, it is more effective. Okay. I joined University of Nazwa since 2008.
Oh wow! Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And Dr. Kieran, thank you very much for joining us. We're just introducing ourselves as we go around the panel. Can you please tell us a little about your job title and your institution?
Good evening. My name is Kieran. I'm the Dean of Middle East College. We were following a pedagogical approach in technology for many years. So a sudden shift to online was easier for us, even for our students, because we were using it in any case. So the sudden jump was possible. God's grace. In fact, the very day the lockdown was announced, we could suddenly switch over. We didn't take any much more time. But we were not into online completely, so we had to shift. We had to come up with, we identified in the first 3-4 months that interaction was a problem. So we worked on that. We created enough material for pre-class, in-class and post-class. That was effective because our attendance went up substantially. Assessments was a difficult thing, but then we came up with different mechanisms. And so we also looked at, achievement of outcomes. We looked at the marking. We looked at whether there was any major variation. And statistically, it didn't go up, neither went down, which was also good. And then by last semester, we brought in the additional dimension of the 3 interactions, which is how do you make interaction between the student and the faculty, student and the learning material, and student and peers. So we came up with different models to improve the interactivity. Our attendance has went up last academic year in a big way. More than 86% of our sessions had more than 95% attendance, so which is good. And so this academic year, we have gone high flex. We have parallel online sessions along with the face-to-face and recorded sessions apart from the pre-class, post-class, and in-class material. So we've come up with a combination of the high flex, and the high flex seems to be working, which has given huge flexibility for students in terms of what all sessions they have, flexibility for faculty members to operate within and outside the campus, and flexibility for the institution as well, because if there is any change, we're moving from face-to-face to online or a combination, we are ready for that. So we've tried to take care of that, and it seems to be working so far. But all said and done, it's a great joy to have students on campus.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And Zahir, you're joining us from Coursera today, who partner with THE to produce these events. Please, can you tell us about your role at Coursera and how you're working with universities in Oman?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon. So my name is Zahir Sroor. I'm the Partnerships Director working for Coursera. I'm part of a very big team working with universities across the whole globe. I mean, statistically, we talk to hundreds of universities on a daily basis, and thousands of universities use Coursera in a way or another. So my job is my daily job is to meet with the universities, try to understand the challenges, the pain points that they are going through. I understand that a year ago or a year and a half ago, universities were really struggling to reflect or to move to the remote teaching. Now everybody is getting more relieved, but still there are a lot of challenges in that universities are still trying to address. One of which is, I believe, the producing graduates that are really, with what the market needs. And I believe this is one of the areas that we want to talk about today, and how universities today are addressing this issue, whether with on-campus learning or blended learning or completely online learning, doesn't matter. I mean, as long as students are getting the right skills, are getting the right attention that employers are expecting from them. So yeah, thank you so much. And I'm pleased to be with you here, and I'm honored to be as well.
Great, thank you very much. Yeah, it's always nice to have a mix of people throughout the country joining us to exchange ideas and talk about their work. So I'd like to ask the panel first about how can courses and curricula be blended to increase student engagement. Dr. Kieran, you spoke a little bit about this and how you've had success with a high flex model. Was this a quick process, a slow one? Is it one that is continually being changed and assessed? How are you implementing it?
We started, thank you, that's a very important question. We started the flipped learning approach from 2015. So we initially experimented with a few departments, a few modules, and then we took it up in a phased manner, with all the first year and the third year students going into a flipped approach, all the modules in the first year and the third year going into flipped approach. And then we took that forward, and which meant that we kept on adding to our infrastructure. We changed the pedagogical approaches. It was a very big challenge in 2015, 2017, when students and parents would come and ask, oh, is this supposed to be the classes? This is not what we're used to at the school level, etc. So we took up that flipped approach, which gave us the confidence to push this online material further. So starting around 2017, we have been working with different MOOCs, initially as an additional requirement, not a mandatory requirement, for students to use. was suggested as learning material. The departments identified for every module different MOOCs which could be used. And subsequently, by 2018, we started making it part of our assessments. So students had to go into Coursera, to other MOOCs, to find out how online platforms to learn. And it became theoretically mandatory because part of that was going to be assessed or used within the assessment. The idea at that point in time, we never knew, of course, COVID was going to come. The idea was to create the lifelong learners, or the agile learners, where we expected that in the long run, they would have to use this, even outside of their degree program. Today or tomorrow, their lifelong learning will have to depend substantially on such programs. We were only guiding them in terms of identifying the specific programs and providing it to them. So we had initially students who used it as part of the assessments, even otherwise, but subsequently the number of certifications also went down because they found that this is going to be helpful from an employability perspective. And it is at that point in time that we switched over to the Corona. Corona came in, and so students were used to that online, students were used to the flipped learning approach. So switching over, both from an infrastructure perspective, pedagogical perspective, training for faculty was easier for us. I'm not saying it is completely easy, but it was easier for us. And that's how we could build it over a period of time. So it was not like suddenly we shifted. So when we now reached HighFlex, it's been quite a journey of 5 years, 6 years. So.
I see. Thank you very much. And to the other panelists, I wanted to ask, what has been more difficult? Has it been managing the technological change or the cultural change, the expectations of staff and students?
I think from our end, the student engagement has been the biggest challenge. Yes, we had also some issues with bandwidth and tools and servers, especially in the first few days. I think the longest lasting challenge on the technical side was the internet connectivity that students had at their home. Hear fewer complaints about this now, as I assume students have found ways to have better internet at their home, or that they moved to locations where they had more bandwidth. But the student engagement has been a big challenge. One of the unusual features of GUtech is that we don't have required attendance. So students can come or not come if they desire. So, for us, this is an important way of teaching our students take responsibility for their own learning and for their own life. Now, we then tried different approaches. We used Kahoot, we used quizzes every day in class to ensure students stay engaged. That has worked well for some profs. I think other profs who don't feel quite as comfortable with some of these tools, it was more difficult. But we provided training. RWTH Aachen University in Germany, our affiliate institution, they provided training. In fact, actually, just 2 hours ago, we had another training session from them on constructive alignment. What we do right now, because we still can't ensure social distancing with all students on campus, so what we do now is that students, based on their year, they have alternate days on campus and online. So in 1 week, students have 3 days on campus, or one student has 3 days on campus. The next week, the same student has 2 days on campus, and then we kind of rotate our way through. That has worked really well. I wasn't quite sure in the beginning if that would work out, but my feedback that I've received from students is that this is a really good approach. We were toying with the idea of 1 week on campus and 1 week at home, but the feedback that we received since from students was that had we taken that approach, they would have studied 1 week, and 1 week they would have had a holiday. So the alternate days has been really good for the students, but it also has been challenging for the profs because they needed to check each time, especially if they teach across various levels, they had to check each time, is this lecture now online or on campus? That has been our approach to increasing student engagement.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Amin. Dr. Hussein, I wondered if one of you would like to speak about how you've helped manage the workload for your staff, because you've obviously, to implement blended learning, you're asking people to do more. You know, they manage the online provision, they maybe manage in person as well. Perhaps there is an expectation when education moves online that somebody is available 24 hours a day, and it can lead to a lot of problems with the workforce. Dr. Hussein, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you. Really, actually, we followed the blended learning, which around 75% on campus and 25% online. And these 25% really come from the high courses capacity. When we have in the classroom high number of students, and due to the health and safety issue, we ask them to conduct these courses with high capacity online. But this, even if the online course to be conducted during this semester, but the assessment to be conducted on campus. We don't leave them to conduct the assessment online also. We ask them to come during the examination period. Even with that courses really conducted on campus, we didn't want to lose the experience gained by the faculty member, by the student during the pandemic, how to manage with the platform, online platform, and also the technique which we have followed during the online period. We also ask the faculty member, the student who are on campus, to allocate one lecture per every 2 weeks to be online, and then to follow up, to be ready. If we switch suddenly, we don't know what will happen. If we switch suddenly to the online, so that we are prepared. No problem. That really the during online, as one of our colleagues mentioned, that we face the problem with the really internet capacity, internet speed, and also some students live in a remote location. This is some problem, but now, alhamdulillah, wa shukr, these problems are solved.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Fal, to that point about Dr. Hussein's point about not moving assessment online, have you made a similar decision at your university, or are you using online assessment?
Right. Now,
Sorry.
this year we had clear directives from the Ministry of Higher Education in Oman to bring our classes back in person. And the ultimate was to bring them all 100% in person. What we have done at Al-Sharqiyya now, all our students are 100% on campus. But again, to maintain the social distancing in the classroom, we are offering 80% of our classes on campus and 20% online. But the students are available on campus. So we have reading rooms and places where they can attend the classes online while on campus. But what I would like to say here is really, for me, it's a bit unfortunate because the experience from the last 2 years, at least at our institution, showed that if you have the right, if students understand what's expected from them, to have self-regulation, to be self-disciplined, and if instructors know what is expected from them to really engage the students and use open material in the class, we find that online teaching probably can be even better than face-to-face. Of course, there's a big debate here on which one is better, but from our experience last year, we felt that all the additional skills that we want the students to be equipped with in terms of depend on themselves, have better presentation skills, etc., these are more available to online than to face-to-face. So I think we should really not, the idea is to go back to face-to-face once the pandemic is I think we should really, online probably is an approach to stay, irrespective of whether the pandemic is here or not.
Okay, thank you very much. Zahir, can I bring you in at this point, please? Because, I mean, obviously the Coursera campus has grown hugely in the past 2 years, to the point now I think you have more than 90 million users who use the platform globally. Does this debate about how to balance online versus in person, have you found that it changes a lot from one institution to another when you're speaking to universities in Oman?
Well, before I go to Oman, let me tell you what's happening worldwide. I mean, universities are benefiting using Coursera in different ways. I mean, we are seeing use cases where faculty development and training on all of these digital skills and all the other skills that needed to deliver online courses. We're going to places where engineering schools or colleges are using Coursera and supplementing the curriculum that they currently have. Especially in those areas where a prerequisite is needed, or you know, it all boils down to the faculty member himself, and for different reasons, to save time, to provide extra additional labs or assessments, for many reasons where there's a benefit for that. In Oman, I totally agree with all the gentlemen that online learning in Oman, with what I'm hearing from many universities we speak to, was a challenge to many of the universities. And I agree with Dr. Fuad when he mentioned about the discipline of students. I mean, and I can add to that the discipline of the faculty members as well. I mean, because we are all, you know, at one point need some type of training, especially if you've been doing something for many years. So from what we're seeing, actually, we think that blended learning now is taking a different shape or a different form. I do see that. I do hear from many universities and many stakeholders that they want to keep the online learning active, especially for those emerging technologies, especially for those skills that universities are not really used to teach, something related to the soft skills, the human skills, as well as, you know, as I mentioned before, those areas where high quality content coming from Coursera's university partners and industry partners are adding a lot of value, especially to students at the end of the day, who can, you know, tag these type of programs or professional certificates and become, you know, highly employable in the job market.
Okay, thank you. You make an interesting point about employability skills or soft skills, because it seems like it is a global problem that universities are good at creating graduates who have knowledge, but don't necessarily have the skills that they need to do well in a job or employer wants. So I'd like to ask the panel about whether they have been able to use blended learning to teach soft skills in a different way. Is this an opportunity to teach teamwork, to teach communication, to teach critical thinking, you know, working with others? Is this something that has become easier with blended learning, or perhaps more challenging? Dr. Fuad, please.
Yeah, what we have at Ashaqiya here last year, over 2 semesters, we are offering additional courses, 0 credit courses, 10 hours each. One of them is called communication skills, and the other one is called problem solving and critical thinking. Now, because the course is 0 credit, the instructor does not have his own material. The material of the course of each cohort is really made by the students. So we go to the class, we agree on that material. This material should be of interest to the students. And then students, they work in team, and eventually they are expected to do a presentation and write a report. So teamwork, presentation skills, report writing. So this is what we are doing in terms. We think that those are the skills that most employers are really after, in addition to your knowledge base.
I see. And to the other panelists, do you have a strategy around teaching soft skills now, or is it something that you are looking at for the future, maybe?
We are just in the process of setting up an agreement with Coursera for courses that I think we had a trial last summer where 2 Coursera courses in related subjects made up one geotech course that was for credit, and we did the assessments on campus, and that was hugely successful. And I think that's why we are now moving forward with a longer term agreement. I think the Coursera lends itself to certain areas. Teamwork, I think it might be more difficult to teach. Yes, the theoretical part, but the practical part, you can only live teamwork. But for us, I think Coursera is in our long-term plans, and the either as a blending in with our traditional courses, or we call them life skills courses. So these are courses that are linked to soft skills, and there we want to involve Coursera more and more.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Hussein, how is this being addressed at your institution?
Really in our University of Nazwa, there is university requirement which the student should register and take. One of these, for example, communication skills. And in addition to that, there is a writing center at the university which help the student writing center, and there is another center which is called Engis Center to help the student in the language, and also to help the student and enhance their knowledge, their background, and how to write report, how to write articles, and so on. This is what happened in our university.
And are you, what is your interaction with employers? Are you talking to them more now to find out what particular skills are lacking, or is this something that could be done in the future?
Well, sorry.
Are you talking to employers and industry, the people who are hiring your graduates, to find out what the most important skills are?
During the pandemic, we communicate with them really online, and even they also, due to this pandemic, they refuse to train our students because they have also a safety and health issue in their company, in their industry. In that time, we faced a problem in this regard. But they also, some of them propose to have blended training, part online, part in their company. But we didn't really. We are continuously in communication with this employer and the company which is related to the. I am speaking for the College of Engineering and Architecture.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there a broader issue now when universities speak to employers that it's not just undergraduates or maybe postgraduates who need to be taught certain skills? It is people at different stages of their working life who now need to go back to university, even if it's just for a short course or something similar. And I was wondering, is that easier to manage online and with blended, particularly if somebody has a job and they're looking to work around that? Dr. Hussein?
Yes, really, we also gather our alumni, our students to be graduated, and ask many companies to come to the university. They ask really one of their requirements to train our students, to train our graduate, and to enhance their soft skills. They are one of the priority recommendation requested by the employer.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Kieran, how is interaction with different types of learners changing at your institution? And also I have another question. Can you teach soft skills differently if you have more diverse groups of students working together?
Teaching...
Please, sorry, Dr. Kieran, if you go, then Dr. Hussein after that. Thank you. Dr. Kieran, please. Yeah, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's all right. It always happens. It's fine.
Thank you, Dr. Hussein. Thank you very much. And probably that demonstrates some of those issues with online as well. So what we've realized as every other institution is that there are certain things which online amplifies. So we are able to do things in a much better way online. And there are things which are constrained because of the online. So it's not like, let's all jump into online or jump into the face-to-face. It is more about taking care of the strengths of each side and trying to blend those strengths rather than calling it a blended. For example, what we have realized when you're talking about soft skills, what we have realized is many of our students whom otherwise wouldn't be able to come in front of a classroom and speak well, have been doing extremely well on the online platform. So they have gained some confidence using these platforms. They have also using the breakdown rooms in Microsoft Teams, etc. The group work has been doing exceedingly well. In fact, particularly if you're looking at the part-time students that we have, they enjoy this experience. Our attendance has gone up. I mean, attendance is, I'm not talking about attendance as in attendance, but the enthusiasm to be connected. And we find that hence this model where the flexibility is given to the students. We don't say this is online and this is face-to-face, but giving the flexibility of what to attend will be very important for them to choose. So now when we're looking at different sets of the diversity of students, we are able to give that flexibility for the students. We are talking about learning styles to their, we have a pregnant lady who wants to do only online this semester, but is ready to come next semester and wants to be part of the face-to-face this time. Somebody has gone to the desert. So online gives a huge possibility for these students. If everybody were to look at it from a course to course or a module to module, we'll have a problem. But if you're looking at it at the program level, and some period of time spent only online, some period on face-to-face, looking at the, for example, Professor Hussain was talking about engineering programs, so where the practicals have to be done. It is about combining all of this, which is the most important thing. And earlier you were talking about the strategic approach. And I think it's, as institutions in Oman, we have to be aware of the fact that online is picking up across the world. I mean, so you today have, even if you look at it from that perspective, if MSc programs offered by some of the leading universities in the US available for $4,000, $5,000. Or if you're looking at the University of London or the LSE offering their online programs, it's 10 to 15,000, less than 15,000 Omani riyals. Now, that would mean that our competition is at a different level. So it's not just about what we're doing, but the context and the very place where this competition is happening has also changed. So we are no longer competing at the regional, local, country level, but it's a global competition for us. So in tomorrow's world, in 3 years, 4 years' time, our competition as a college, as a university, is not going to be with our neighborhood. It's going to be with some of the leading institutions across the world. So we better get equipped in terms of how we deal with this. Industry connections, yes, local industry connections. For us, internships have been difficult. We've tried some of them, alternate arrangements, including some virtual, given whatever was available at that time. But our industry interactions actually went up in a big way. We had around, close to last academic year, around 200 industry speakers, because of the very fact that they could then speak without wasting time in travel. Things which are obvious. So there are aspects where students have gained substantially because of the online. The institution has gained, but we also realize that the social interactions have to happen. They have to be on campus. There are things to be learned. There are labs to be attended. Again, for example, when we're looking at computer labs, all our computer labs are now virtually available, which would mean that the availability of the lab for students has also increased. It's now 24/7 compared to earlier times. So all of this will push us into a different model. And my feeling is that incremental changes to this structure will not help us. We have to really change the very structure, something that we need to take up with the ministry. We have a proposal to the ministry. Hopefully, they would look at it like allowing at least 25% of the modules to be taken from any online program approved by the ministry, by the college or whatever. So we need to build in a structure which is a completely structural change to any incremental change to what we are doing will be helpful, will help students take the online in a big way. But I think a very radical change to the way we think about how the content is provided, how the teaching happens, how assessments are being done has to be undertaken. Otherwise, we will keep adding to layers to what we have been doing, but that's not the way. And when we look at again, since you talked about strategy, we have all these inputs from different agencies talking about by 2030, 50% of the jobs will be lost. So what are we targeting? We are talking about a different learner. And if you're looking at a different learner, we better change. Otherwise, we'll be history very, very soon. So it is strategic. It is not about functional, and it is not about making one change here and there, but a drastic shift in the way we all work. And the advantage for Oman is that the disadvantage for Oman in a way is that the higher education sector is relatively new. But that is the biggest advantage for Oman as well. We don't have history of 200 years where rules have to be changed in terms of because we are relatively new. And I think the Sultan Qaboos University is going to celebrate its 35th anniversary. So it's as new as 35 years, which is a big advantage, which is a very big advantage. And then a structural shift is always easy for us to do. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So I heard to Dr. Kieran's point about there being an opportunity to become more international and to innovate, but also to keep up with international competition from big established higher education markets. Do you see any trends emerging across the country and across the region where blended learning now presents new opportunities to perhaps retain students locally who might have studied abroad previously, and also any international collaboration that is possible through digital platforms?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we see that we see the opportunity for universities to not only retain students, to attract international students who are not perhaps present in the country, and this is where universities get the chance to globalize their curriculum by partnering with a company like Coursera. But before I just go deep dive in this question, let me, if you allow me, share my screen for 2 minutes. Go back to the soft skills and the human skills that we were just discussing, and share with the gentleman here where are we now in Oman, specifically in Oman. I draw this from one of our systems here, where it shows that we have 90,000, almost 91,000 learners who are studying on Coursera platform, with a total of 183,000 enrollments. So basically, these learners are coming from different sectors. They are university students. I believe there is around 28% are students. So we're talking about here almost 30,000 students who come to the platform either through their university accounts or through individual enrollments. And what's really struck me here is that the attention to the human and personal skills that students are really looking after. So the #1 course, which is unsurprisingly the most common course on the platform, which is learning how to learn. So we have a lot of students or learners coming to take this course under personal development. We see students coming to improve their English skills, language skills. And of course, we see also interest in the areas of data science, technology, and business. But personal development, life skills, you name it, human skills, soft skills are key to what learners are looking at here. And this graph here shows where is Oman compared to other countries in the Middle East, from the data that we have from Oman learners. So basically here, this tells you from the level of assessments that students are taking, from the level of courses, whether they are, the proficiency level of this of the courses, where is the current level of these different areas. So I wonder if there is any question about this slide here, and if, let me get back to your question again, Alistair, about the opportunity of international collaboration here. So because of Coursera's engagement with not only university partners, also with industry partners, the likes of Google, IBM, Facebook, all of these large technology companies who are really driving the way in terms of digitalization. They also offer programs, they offer professional certificates that we see that our learners or the learners on the platform are very keen to acquire. And this is where I believe international students, or perhaps even local students, wanted to be associated with these type of skills and these type of badges, because they found that these are what the employers are asking for. I mean, as a company, as you may know, we started 9 years ago, but until 5 years ago only, we started to work with organizations, and we started with enterprises, the businesses, the likes of Google and many multinational companies. This is where they started to hire us as a service provider to upskill or reskill their employees. And we learned a lot from this experience. And we are now carrying this experience with a lot of insights, a lot of data from those 92 million learners to inform and to advise universities as well. So as an individual, you may see a platform with a lot of courses, with a lot of certificates, but behind this platform, there's a wealth of data that we talk about it on daily basis to our universities and university partners. And this is where we can support them a lot in advising and supporting them with their goals and their objectives. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Did any of the panelists have any questions for Zahar about perhaps what the most useful, are there any things that you would like to track better using data at your institutions?
Sorry,
Dr. Hussein, yeah,
maybe, yes, regarding the last slide presented by Mr. Zahar, I think these courses, the period of these courses takes 1 semester or month. How it is really delivered?
So yeah, basically courses on Coursera have different duration. We have very short courses which teach hands-on learning experiences, like we call them guided projects. These are like virtual labs. And we have these courses that take between 10 to 30 hours to complete, including all the components of a course or a digital course, the readings, the videos, the assessments, the peer reviews, the labs, etc., etc. So as a student or as a learner, I can sit for 2 days and complete a course, and I can take my time, for like a month or two. So it all boils down to my availability, my motivation, and my attention to do these type of courses. Now, when we work with universities, they kind of guide students, say, okay, we would really recommend you to take this course, or we will introduce this course as a prerequisite, and they will give a time frame for this. They will say, okay, this course has to be done within this semester. So students know exactly what their expectations from this.
And how much the fees for such a courses in average?
Okay, so yeah, so the retail price of these courses are available on the platform. So courses range between $30 to $40 all the way to $80. But when we work with universities, the complete license mechanism and the complete price mechanism is totally different. And we can take this conversation separately if you wish, to give you more details about how we work with universities and how we, how it's very economically valuable.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tahir. We've got about 10 minutes left, so I just wanted to have a quick look at the other points for discussion that we wanted to broach today. One of them was to ask the panel about whether their institutions are using new ways of teaching, such as boot camps, to complement existing models. This is something that seems to be becoming more popular globally. It's intensive, it's a short number of weeks, and it's designed to do things like boost employability. Is this a model that you are looking at to drive employability among graduates, or is it something more long-term where you're embedding employability skills a different way?
Well, we have been using, you call it boot camps, we call it block courses, where for a longer time period, not necessarily for employability, but I think some courses, they just lend themselves to a condensed format. We use it often for subjects that either we lack the skill set because it's very specific and we have somebody who comes from the outside to teach it, or in architecture, where the students have a condensed 1-2 week period of lectures, and then they have a longer period where they work on a project. So that has been very helpful for us. I know at one of my previous institution, where I was Dean of Grad Studies, I set up boot camps for thesis writing, and that was very, very popular. I think allowing students to have a really focused time to get some work done, that gives them a real push. But my sense is boot camps mainly work in an in-person setting. I think if you spend 8 hours in the same course subject for 1-2 days, it's very, very tiring. So boot camps, in my view, really need in-person contact. They don't lend themselves to online teaching.
Okay, thank you very much. Please, Dr. Fahd.
Yeah, again, we don't have boot camps. What we are trying to do here is to work with the local industry, the major employers that we think our students may want to work for, and try to see how we can really bring some changes to our own curriculum in some majors, so that students, by the time they graduate, they will be aware of some of the challenging issues of those industries. So this is what we're trying to do.
Okay, and we've spoken a lot about the benefits of moving everything to online today. Is there still a benefit of creating a real sense of place on your campus and making it a destination so that people feel included and you can improve attainment because of that? So if Dr. Fahd, if you go first, and then Dr. Kieran afterwards, please.
Quickly, at Al-Sharqiyya University, we already have international programs with I can name, we have a master's degree with George Washington University. It's a 12-course degree. They offer 6 online. We deliver the other 6 face-to-face.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Kieran?
Definitely, yes. I think the campus still has certain advantages. Professor Armin was talking about the autonomous learner earlier. By the way, we have been interacting on a different note as well, Professor Armin, but we have never met face-to-face. We only met online. The point is that employability is not just about communication skills, as in coming and making a presentation or doing some teamwork, but for example, community outreach. If you look at, again, the skills that are demanded in the 2030s, we're not talking about just the communication skills and data sciences, but the ability to understand the problems of a region, have consciousness regarding sustainability. All of that requires people to come together. Same is the case with entrepreneurship. You get the best of people together. The advantage of a university is that you know your partners quite well. And so you work together in a team and move forward. So I think the face-to-face has a lot of advantages, apart from the activities, socializing, the very mental well-being that is important for students rather than sitting at home and doing everything. So the space offers a lot. And hence, as I said earlier, the blending is not about online and off face-to-face. It's a blend of the advantages of this. For example, meeting faculty members, we have realized that it is much easier to meet online rather than coming over, unless they really want to. but many times it seems to be saving their time, the time of faculty members, etc. So we are trying to identify those activities which are effective from online perspective versus those which are effective from a face-to-face, and try and make sure that whatever is effective from this side is given there, and vice versa. So the question is not whether X or Y, but how do we put the X's and the Y's together properly so that the student and their learning experience is enhanced.
And is that done through monitoring student activity online, creating separate feedback conversations with the students?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And we were talking about boot camp. We don't call it boot camps. We have these pre-graduation training programs. And we have been using a blend of material from Coursera and other sources, but also people coming from the industry speaking to them. So we're trying to create that. But again, going back to the idea of the student autonomy and autonomous learner, one of those issues that we face, and I'm sure most of the other institutions would probably have the same issue, is that left to itself, those students who take up these programs are the ones who probably don't need those programs. I mean, they're already motivated and they want to do things. And that's why I was talking about a very radical structural shift to bring all of this within these programs and not consider many aspects of this outside of the program. And that's one of the requests that we have made to the ministry, allowing us to run or provide 25% of the modules outside of this curriculum, where students can choose freely and take modules from various sources. Okay, accredited, okay, approved by ministry, okay, approved by whatever. But the point is that they have a much more bigger flexibility in terms of all these additional modules, and not within the program, which is a very structured way of doing things. And in a world where flexibility is the key, it looks very draconian to push students to follow the structured approach any longer. And so suddenly they would view Coursera as source and use that material in ways that they want. And that, I think, is the new autonomous learner, the agile learner, as we call it on our campus. So some more structural shifts have to be done. I mean, it's not just incremental, okay, I've got this degree, but I've got additional 3 more certificates. Sorry, that doesn't seem to be working any longer.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. No, it's fine. Thank you very much. Zahir, we're very close to time. I just wondered if you could tell us a little bit about how Coursera works with universities to perhaps identify the students who are not as confident or not as motivated. Is that part of tracking student pathways through the platform?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we have built a very robust platform that gives a lot of administrative tools to the universities to track and trace the learners' activities on the platform, and not only the general metrics in terms of the number of hours or the number of completions, but even further down to measure the progress of the skills that they are acquiring. That's one thing. The other part here is that, again, we've built a lot of things into the courses itself, where all of this machine learning supported, or artificial intelligence, where the system gives nudges to students and this is where when we talk about personalized learning. So basically, if I'm due to my assignment, or if I'm due to my lecture, or if I'm due to this, the AI powered nudges can, and this is just one example for making sure that unmotivated students can be on can achieve their target times. Of course, I mean, when we work with universities, it's a completely different experience. We have a lot of teams, to name a few. I think Dr. Amin, he knows because he's now working with us on a very solid opportunity. So we do have like skills transformation consultants who come in to support with the selection of the courses, understand, and we're introducing recently something called skill sets. And by the way, we are today announcing something called level sets. So basically, this kind of assessment tool for universities to see where their students are standing in terms of proficiency levels in certain topics. So yeah, what I'm trying to say here is that the institutional relationship between university and Coursera is a completely different experience than an individual user. And I really look forward to continue this discussion with you all to see how we can really support you in any of these challenges that you are working to solve, not only to your students, maybe perhaps to the community that you serve, to your alumni, to your faculty, to the staff. So that's the ecosystem that Coursera works in, will really can support a lot a university to connect with its community in a very much solid way.
Great, thank you very much, Sahir. That takes us to time, I'm afraid, but thank you all very much for taking time out of your schedule to join our event. I know it's another hour on Zoom, when you probably spend a lot of time on Zoom anyway. We hope that you've enjoyed the discussion. I've certainly found it very informative to be able to hear from all of you about your insights and your experience. As I said, there will be an on-demand version of this discussion available on the Times Higher Education website, and we will share that with you if you would like to revisit it. There will be a summary article of the key points made. We hope that that you find it useful to share with your teams or your colleagues or social media if you like. We also hope that we can engage with you at future Times Higher Education events. So thank you all very much for joining us.
I would like to say a short comment, please, regarding the on-campus teaching.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. Really, the on-campus teaching and learning, it is very important and has many advantages, because later on, when the student employed or the graduate employed, they will not be employed online. They will be employed on site. So that when we go to would like to have an online, there is an e-learning program in which the student can register and even follow their academic degree. Thank you very much.
That's all right. You're welcome. And thank you all again for joining us. We hope to see you again soon. Goodbye.